Let's now look at scenarios where VLOOKUP doesn't help. Now let's suppose that instead of finding tax rate based on income bracket, we want to find income bracket based on tax rate. Let us now see if we can use VLOOKUP to look up for the income bracket corresponding to a particular tax rate. Let's create a column called tax rate here, and let's do some data validation here to create a drop down for tax rates. I will select list again, and then in the source, I will select the tax rate. Let's create a column on income level, and let's select a tax rate, let's say 30%. And let's now do a VLOOKUP. So I need to look up this value in this table, but what is going to be the column index? If you remember, we specify the column index in relation to the column for which we are doing the lookup. Now we are doing lookup on the tax rate column. Now corresponding to tax rate column, what is the position of income level column? Is it 2? Let's put in a value of 2 and see if this works. It doesn't. Is it a value of -1? It doesn't seem to work. So in general, VLOOKUP will fail whenever your lookup column is to the right side of the column to which you're trying to output the value, or the column from which you're trying to output the value is to the left of your lookup column. To tackle this, we can use two Excel functions called index and match. Let's look at them in more detail. The match function is used to find the index or the position of the element to be matched in either a row or a column. The index function, on the other hand, can be used to find the value if we provide it with the position in a given row or column. Let's see how these two functions can be used to solve our original problem, which VLOOKUP is not able to solve for. Let's imagine we want to match the tax rate at 30% to its corresponding income bracket. Now, the tax rate of 30% is at row number 2 of the column corresponding to the tax rates. To automate the process of finding this row position, we can use the match function. Let's understand its syntax. The first parameter is the exact value whose position we want to find out. This could be the cell reference in which we specify the tax rate. The second parameter is the column or the row in which we want to find the position of our match. In our case, it will be the cell reference of the column corresponding to tax rate. Now that we have automated the process of finding the row number corresponding to tax rate, you can see that the income level is aligned with the tax rate. So if tax rate of 30% is in the second row, then the income level corresponding to 30% is also in the second row. Now we can use the index function to automate the process of finding the value at row number 2 in the column income level. Let's look at the syntax of index function. The first parameter is the cell reference of the column or row from where you want to output the value. The second parameter is the position at which you want to get the value from, which in our case is 2 and can be found using the match function. Now let's put our learnings together and see a working example in Excel sheet. Now let us see how we can solve the problem wherein we are doing a lookup on the tax rate and we're trying to get the income level. Let's try to use the index and match to solve this problem. The first thing I will do is I will create a new column on tax rate. And also create a drop down by doing some data validation. So I'll go to the data tab and then I'll go to the data validation tab. I will select the lists and in the source, I will select these values. So now I have a drop down. Now, first I will use the match function to find the row number which corresponds to the row number where a value is found out in the tax rate column. So the first argument is a lookup value, which is going to be the cell reference of this. And then I will need to select a lookup array, which is going to be this range. So the match function is clearly able to find the row number. So if I change this to 15% now, it is in the first row in my selection, which is what I'm getting over here. Let's now use the index function to find out the value of the income corresponding to the row number that we are getting from the match function. So the first parameter is the input array, which in this case now is going to be all these values. And the second parameter is going to be the row number, which we are dynamically getting from the match function. So now you can see if I now change this to 30%, the corresponding income level is showing. So you can see in this way, I'm able to do a lookup, which was not possible using VLOOKUP. Now I can make this whole solution a little bit more elegant. Instead of having a separate cell where I'm using my index function, I can use the nested output where the row number is coming from a match function. So let's see how that will work. So I will clear this out. So I'll use the index function where I will select my array. Now the row number will be generated by my match function. I'm doing this lookup in this array. And you can now see I have been able to put the whole logic in a single cell now. Let's write here income level. So that's how we can make the index and match function do a lookup which the VLOOKUP cannot handle.